ever feel like there's this whole other part of you kind of working behind the scenes? Like there's this secret control room in your brain you haven't figured out how to access?
Hmm. I know what you mean.
Well, today we're grabbing our, I guess you could say metaphorical flashlights,
Okay.
and we're taking a deep dive into the power of the subconscious mind.
Love it.
And our guide for this is going to be Joseph Murphy's classic, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
It's a book that's been around for decades.
Right.
And for good reason. I think people have always been so fascinated by this idea that we have this hidden potential within us, you know.
Absolutely.
But I have to admit, like, cracking open the power of your subconscious mind for the first time, it can feel kind of like, you're starting a philosophy textbook or something.
Totally. But trust me, this deep dive is going to be way less about textbook definitions.
Okay, good.
This is more like, well, imagine going on an archaeological dig, but for your mind.
Ooh, I like that.
We're talking about uncovering those aha moments that can totally change how you see yourself and really how you see everything around you.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for, to unearth those golden nuggets from Murphy's work.
Yes.
For example, right out of the gate, he kicks things off by saying we have not one, but two minds, the conscious and the subconscious.
Okay, two minds.
Think of it this way. Your conscious mind, that's like the captain of a ship,
All right.
steering the direction, making the decisions, right?
Yeah.
But what's the captain without their crew?
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
The subconscious, that's the crew, diligently carrying out the captain's orders.
Yeah.
It's the engine room, making sure everything runs smoothly,
Mm-hmm.
even if we're not really consciously aware of all the intricate workings down there.
And this isn't just some metaphorical mumbo jumbo, right? I mean,
Right.
this two minds idea, this is legit. And Murphy backs it up with some pretty compelling stuff. Like, for instance, he talks about hypnotism, which, by the way, totally blew my mind when I first learned about it.
Yeah, hypnosis is a perfect example.
It's one.
Under hypnosis, people can, recall memories they had completely forgotten, or even change habits they thought were impossible to break.
It's true.
And it all comes back to how.
How?
Because hypnosis taps into the power of the subconscious mind, that part of us that's running the show below the surface.
It's incredible. Okay, so we've got this incredible crew, right? They're working for us like 24/7, behind the scenes. This is the subconscious mind. But, and here's the thing, this is where it gets kind of crazy.
Okay.
Murphy says our subconscious, it doesn't judge.
It doesn't.
It doesn't argue with the orders that we give it.
Right.
It just accepts what we tell it as like plain and simple truth.
Yeah, and that's a powerful concept,
Yeah.
but it also comes with, a big, handle with care sticker.
Right.
Wouldn't you
Yeah.
say?
Oh.
Yeah. Think about those times when you've caught yourself thinking, ugh, I'm going to bomb this presentation, or, oh, I'm never going to get this project done on time.
All the time.
Those negative thoughts, they're like commands
Really?
to our subconscious, whether we realize it or not.
So I'm actually telling myself to fail, like without even realizing it?
Exactly.
Oh, man. Okay, I can see why choosing like what we believe is so, so important.
Precisely.
Wow.
Because the subconscious doesn't know the difference really between a helpful belief and a limiting one. It just takes what we feed it and runs with it.
Hmm.
That's why it's so important to be so aware of those thoughts, those beliefs that we're kind of giving to our subconscious,
Okay, so how do we shift those negative beliefs?
Right.
I mean, if it was as easy as just, thinking positive thoughts, we'd all be walking around with perfect lives.
You're telling me. You're absolutely right. It's not always easy.
No, it's not.
But Murphy, he provides some practical techniques for doing just that. He suggests something he calls, are you ready for this? Autosuggestion.
Auto-suggestion. So like giving myself like pep talks. Is that what that is?
Yeah. Essentially, yes.
Okay.
It's about consciously choosing positive affirmations,
Yeah.
and repeating them to yourself regularly. But here's the catch. With belief and conviction.
Okay.
And the more you do this, the more your subconscious begins to, accept those positive suggestions as truth, and that's when the real magic starts to happen.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Speaking of magic, one of the most intriguing parts of the book for me was how Murphy links the subconscious mind to like our physical well-being.
Oh, yeah.
He's basically saying our bodies are constantly regenerating based on our thoughts, and that we have way more influence over our health than we think we do.
Absolutely.
It's kind of crazy.
And he gives this, incredible example of a woman who healed herself of a skin malignancy
What?
using this very principle.
Wait, hold on. Just by changing her thoughts.
Well, she kind of had this realization, right, that if her subconscious mind could create her physical body, right,
Okay, yeah.
it could also heal it. So she started focusing all of her thoughts on being healthy and whole, visualizing her body healing itself.
Wow.
And gradually, she began to see results in the real world.
That's incredible. And then there's the story of Dr. Esdaile, who was performing surgeries way back in the 1840s. And get this, using only the power of suggestion as anesthesia.
It's amazing.
Imagine that going under the knife with nothing but your mind keeping you comfortable.
You know, I think that story just highlights how long we've understood, at least on some level, you know, the mind's potential to influence the body.
Right.
It's almost as if our ancestors had a grasp on these concepts that we're only now beginning to, like, rediscover and explore, scientifically.
That's a great point. It's like we've always had this, like, innate power within us, but somewhere along the line, we kind of forgot how to access it.
We did.
But clearly, the potential is there.
Oh, yeah.
And that brings us to, like, the million-dollar question. How do we tap into it?
Right.
It's almost like, I don't know, somebody handed us this, like, high-tech gadget, right? It's got all these buttons and settings, but we've totally lost the instruction manual.
You did, but
Luckily, though, Murphy does give us some pretty, I think, clear directions on how to work with this powerful force, right? This thing we call the subconscious mind.
he does. And, one of the things that he talks about, one of the most, I think, accessible and effective techniques is visualization.
Okay.
And it's something that, a lot of successful athletes use,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of artists, entrepreneurs, even if they don't really realize it.
Interesting. So when we talk about visualization, we're really talking about making these like mental movies
Yeah.
of what we want and like really feeling it though, as if it's happening like right now.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
It's not just about seeing it in your mind's eye. It's about, like, feeling those emotions, the excitement, the gratitude, as if you've already achieved it.
Yeah.
That's how you make it real for your subconscious.
And Murphy has some pretty wild stories
Yeah.
about the power of visualization. Like there's that one, the guy who sold his house
Right.
and all he did was visualize, like mentally taking down the for sale sign.
He did.
And then boom, he sells it.
It's like he convinced his subconscious that the deal was done.
Right.
And then the universe is just like, okay, I guess we got to catch up.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then there was that woman, the Cadillac.
Oh, yeah.
She visualizes herself driving this brand new Cadillac.
Yeah.
And guess what? She inherits one.
Talk
Talk about the universe, like really delivering in style.
about, right. But what I think is so fascinating about that story
Mhm.
is that she didn't manifest the Cadillac in the way that maybe she expected.
That's true.
Right.
It wasn't like
But the universe found a way.
it did.
And I think that just speaks to the power of kind of surrendering to the process a little bit.
Yeah.
Trusting that your subconscious mind will find, like, the best path
Okay.
to make those desires a reality.
So for our listener out there who's maybe they're listening to this and they're like, whoa, this is a lot. This is powerful stuff, what would you say to that person? What's the most important thing to remember about all of this?
I would say, first of all, don't get too caught up in trying to, like, micromanage
Oh,
or control every little detail, right?
Okay, yeah.
Because it's not about forcing things to happen.
Right.
It's more about getting clear on what you want
Okay.
and then really trusting that your subconscious mind can, like, guide you,
Mhm.
It's always working for you,
Always.
even when you're not aware of it.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually really reassuring when you think about it.
Right.
And you know what? That's a perfect reminder, actually. And speaking of reminders, this is a good time for you to, drop that thought-provoking question you mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
The one that's going to leave our listener, like, really thinking, even after this deep dive is over and done with.
Absolutely. Okay, so remember how we were talking about how the subconscious can't really tell the difference
Yeah.
between what's a joke and what's real? It takes everything at face value.
All right.
So my question to you, dear listener, is this.
Okay.
What jokes have you been telling yourself lately?
Ooh.
What limiting beliefs have you been kind of disguising as, just these harmless little thoughts you might think about every now and then?
Right.
Maybe it's time to shine a light on those.
Yeah.
See if they're really serving you.
That's a good one. It reminds me of that saying, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
You just might get it.
Exactly.
Because our subconscious minds, they're powerful allies, but we've got to be mindful,
Right.
right? about the messages that we're sending them. And on that note, I think we're going to wrap up our deep dive into the incredible world of the subconscious mind. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, you have within you the power to create the life you desire.